This is the Math Computer Adaptive Test practice tutorial. We're going to sign in as a guest. In the real test, you'll be putting your first legal first name, just your first name, and just your official real first name, not a nickname. Your SSID number, which will be given to you on a little card, and the session ID, which your teacher will write on the board. We're signing in. We're going to select 5th grade just because it's right in the middle. Yes. For this, we're selecting the MathCat practice test. You're going to leave all these settings the same because they are decided ahead of time and set for you. So just click select, scroll down and click yes, and begin test now. So first I'm going to show you the buttons that are on the page for you to use. There are the zoom in and zoom out magnifying glasses. Notice I can't zoom out because it's already as small as it can get, but if I zoom in, it'll get bigger, and then I can come here to the minus sign magnifying glass and zoom out. You notice that there's a calculator here. When I click it, you'll see a calculator. This is only for certain tests. 6th graders have a regular calculator, and there's also scientific calculators for use in the science test and for higher grade levels of math. But we're not going to use the calculator here because this tutorial is basically for all grade levels, so we're not going to include any special features. Let's see, there is the pause button. Remember that if you need to leave the room for any reason, or if you decide you need a break, then you must ask the test administrator and then click pause. It asks if you're sure you want to pause the test. If your test administrator says yes, which they will, you click yes. And you see that it logs you out, and this is to prevent anybody from doing anything to your test while you are away. So it is a test, it's a rule, it's you need to click pause whenever you leave the room. So going back to where we were. So for this, they want you to plot points. Well, if you just come over and start clicking, nothing at all happens. And remember, during the test, you cannot ask your teacher what to do. So it's very important that you know how to use the tools now, before you take the real test. Up here, you see the button that says add point, and this says delete. Delete, there's nothing here yet. Add point, click that, and then notice that you're able to add points. And then to make them go away, if you want to delete them and start over, you can delete them by clicking the delete button and then clicking on them. You have to turn it white and then click right on them, and they will go away. Sometimes you have to get right on there for it to happen. So that's how to use the add point and the delete tool. As with the English language assessment, these 3 bars right here, if you click on them, you'll see that there is mark for review. Do not spend too much time on a test item that you're struggling with, that's too hard, because remember, the test is not going to just get harder, harder, harder. It doesn't work that way. So if you just mark this to come back to later, the next problem may be easy for you. Get done with all the ones that are easy for you, and then come back at the end to work on the ones that were harder. So what you'll do if you want to come back is click this little flag, and then you'll see right here that the corner is turned down. So when you get to the end of the test, it will show that you marked this one to come back to later. Another tool in here is the notepad. You can click the notepad and you can take notes on here. Remember that you can also use scratch paper, and it is suggested and encouraged for you to use scratch paper. You'll be able to work out your problems. You should never try to do a math test without having scratch paper. But your teacher cannot remind you during the test to get up and go get the scratch paper and the pencil, or to use this notepad, even if they see you struggling. So you need to, they can remind you before you get to the test environment, into the room, but not during. So make sure you remember the first thing you do when you walk into a room when you're going to take a math test is grab a pencil and a paper. Remember, to go to the next problem, you have to do something. So if you really don't know what to do, just add any point anywhere and then flag it and then go to the next one, because otherwise it just won't let you go to the next one. Like if I don't mark anything here and I try to go to the next one, you must answer all the questions on this page before moving to the next page. You may have to scroll down to see all the questions that still require an answer too. Okay, I'm just going to click anything. I'm not going to go through the content on this math test. I'm just going to click anything and go through until there's actual buttons and tools to show you, but I'm not going to go through the content of all of them. Now here, this right here is the equation editor tool, and it has a separate tutorial, which will have a different tutorial video, but just for this one, real quickly, notice that you can click in here, you can type with your keyboard any number, and I just typed anything, or you can use the equation editor tool. So you may think, okay, it's easier to type with your keyboard. Yes, but notice that there are special buttons on the equation editor tool. And so this right here is the fraction tool. So let's say I want to type a fraction like 1/4. I can type the number 1 and then put a slash from my keyboard and then type 4, and I've got 1/4. But some people forget where the slash button is, or they don't know where it is. There is the fraction editor, the fraction button that you can click here, put the 1 on the top and the 4 on the bottom. So that's how this button works. There are a lot more buttons on the equation editor tool that will be explained and shown in the equation editor tool tutorial. So, of course, this is not the right answer to this question. Remember, I am not answering these questions. I'm just going through so that I could show if there's any tools that need to be shown. Notice that there's highlight selection here. I haven't selected anything, so there's nothing to highlight, but you can drag over things like this, and then you can highlight it. Okay. When you see words on a word problem, if you are a person who struggles with reading, don't just give up. Don't just say, look at all those words, I can't do this, and then click anything. Don't do that. What you should do is pick out the numbers, okay? So I'm going to get the notepad, and I'm just going to look for numbers, right? We've got a 2, and we've got a 3, and we've got $10. Oops, $10. And remember, you can do this on scratch paper as well. So now what you need to do is figure out what you need to do with these numbers. You look for keywords. This is a list of keywords that will help you to decide what you should do with numbers you see in a word problem. So basically, if you're struggling with a word problem with lots and lots of words, focus in on just the numbers and the keywords that give you a clue as to what to do with them. So there's 4 operations, main operations to do in math: addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. If you see the words sum, total, altogether, more, come, join, save, or collect, then this gives you a clue that the answer is going to get bigger, and that's either going to be addition or multiplication. How do you know which one? If it's multiplication, you're going to see the words each or the word groups. If you see the words difference, left, leave, take away, spend, waste, ate, throw away, or other things that make you imagining in your mind things leaving or getting smaller, then you know that it's going to be subtraction. You're going to subtract. And or it could be division. The answer gets smaller. But again, the clue between subtraction and division is in division also. You'll see the words each or groups. If you see the word each or groups in a word problem, you know that it has to either be multiplication or division. The thing you need to do is figure out which one. So ask yourself, does it sound like the answer is going to get bigger? Do you see the words all together or total? That would be your clue that it's multiplication. If you see the words quotient or in each group, or how many things in each group, or how many groups there are, then that would be division. So using this little table of keywords will help you get rid of the distractions of the story and focus just in on the numbers and what to do. Now remember, you cannot have this list with you during your test, so you need to get this stuck in your head. These clue words that will tell you what you should do with the numbers you see in a problem. It's better than guessing, right? It's not foolproof. It's not for sure going to get you the right answer, but it's a lot better than just closing your eyes and clicking on anything. So here's an example of a word problem. Let's forget about the words. Let's just look at the numbers. There's 159 and there's 264. And then scan, 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 scan. Oh, I see the word total. I don't see the word each, and I don't see the word groups. So what does that tell me? It tells me to add the two numbers together. So there you go. I didn't even have to read the story. All I had to do was pick out the two numbers and find the key word. Is it always that clear and simple? No, but as I said before, it's better than just taking a random guess. And it will work most of the time. I'll prove it. Here's another example. There's the word 10, there's the word 9, and I scan, 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 and I see the word times. Well, that's pretty easy. What are we going to do? We're going to times them, multiply them. 10 times 9, 90 pounds. There it is, the answer. And we didn't even have to read the whole story. Now, I'm not telling you not to read the story. This is just a secret weapon to use if you do struggle with reading and you are faced with a word problem, which you will be, and it'll give you a shot. It'll give you a chance at doing the problem and getting it right, even without reading the words. So the bottom line is do your best and don't give up. Okay, something to remember on all these problems is if in the answers there are squares to check into, like this, then there's going to be more than one answer that you need to check. If it's a circle, like this, see how there's circles? Then that means there's just one right answer. So there's a little clue. Okay, so on this one, notice that there are squares, so there's going to be more than one right answer. So take a rhombus. It's not a square. Okay, none of these are squares. Okay, look at them. They're not squares. But a parallelogram, a trapezoid is a parallelogram, so is a rhombus. Anything with four sides is a quadrilateral. 1, 2, 3, 4, a trapezoid's a quadrilateral. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, a hexagon is not. 1, 2, 3, 4, a rhombus is. Okay. Okay, this type of problem, when they show you a number line, it says they want you to click above each tick mark to make an X appear. Well, if you look at these numbers, if you click on the line, nothing happens. Okay, so you need to know to click above. Notice when you click above, then you can make X's appear. Okay, and then you can delete them if you decide to delete them by clicking on them, and you can make them go away. Okay, so that's how to work that. Here is a drag and drop type of problem. So you see that there are numbers over here. I'm not going to read this or try to figure this out. I'm just going to show you that when you click in here, you cannot type anything. You need to drag things in, which means you can drag the same number into two things if you want to. Okay, remember, these are not the right answers. I'm just showing you that you have to hold your mouse button down and move it over to where you want it to go and then let go. And that's that type of problem. Now when you get to the last problem, you'll see it says select the End Test button to review your answers. Click OK. And then you'll see that this red End Test button now appears at the top. You'll click End Test. It says you have reached the end of the test. Click Yes to end your test. Click No to keep working on your test. So if you clicked End Test by mistake, maybe you bumped your mouse when it was hovering over the End Test button, then click No and you'll be back into working on the test. But if you are sure that you're ready to end the test, click End Test, click Yes, and now you will be given the chance to go back and work on any of the problems in this section, but especially look for the ones that you may have flagged, because those were the ones that you said, oh, I'm having trouble with that one, I want to go back and spend more time on it. So if you don't flag it, we're going to figure that you were pretty sure of your answer. Make sure if you're not sure of your answer, if you want more time, that you flag it so you'll know which one to go back to. Otherwise, you'll have to, go back through all of them, which you don't want to do. But when you do go back to the flagged one and you look at it, you figure out what you want to do, you don't have to go through, this is number 1, but you don't have to go through the whole test to end the test. Once you've clicked that End Test button, you fix the ones you want to fix, and then you can just end the test right from there. So you have reached the end of the test, click Yes to end your test. And then when you're really sure that you're sure of all your answers, and you're sure you want to submit the test, go ahead and click Submit the Test. Just remember that once you do, you cannot come back and change anything. It'll already be done and submitted. And they're making sure that you're sure. Are you sure you want to submit the test? Yes. And then you will log out, and your teacher will let you know what you should do when you're done with the test.